Yes, sir.
I hope you fall out.
And we are live. We got Jonathan up top there. We got Chris down below. And as y'all can see, Chris got the pretty view for the evening. Looks like he's out on the water.
Well, you said you wanted a fishing report. I'm gonna give that to you quick, and then I'm gonna jump back here.
All right.
So we caught one walleye, 13.5 inches, and that's what we did a lot of trolling for walleye. And then we caught some crappie trolling, and I caught a big gar, and we caught a bunch of little bluegill.
So you didn't try for any catfish?
No, we were walleye fishing, trolling around, and then we was bluegill fishing a lot. And I got about 10 bluegill to bring home. So that's about it. And I'm gonna come back down here tomorrow in the rain to fish.
All right. I have never fished Dale Hollow. So.
It's a really pretty lake.
Yeah, they say the water's clear and it's
What's that?
Water is really clear and it's
Oh yeah. Yeah. So, well, I'm gonna jump off here. Y'all have a good night. We'll be listening.
All right. We'll see
All
you,
right,
brother.
sounds good.
See you.
Thank you. See you, brother. All right. So there's the fishing report for Dale Hollow. Walleye is my favorite fish to eat. I love some good walleye. Good evening, Tim McDowell. How are you today, brother? All right. So I hadn't been fishing, or me or Cody. Cody longer than me. I hadn't been fishing like 4 or 5 months. And we decided Monday we were going. We got up Monday morning, went back the boat in. I backed it off, pulled it off the trailer, and there wasn't no water coming out my weep hole. So I went to push a stick or something up in there. When I bent over, my phone fell out of my hoodie pocket right into the lake.
That's not good.
So I had to get a new phone yesterday. Good evening, Jeremy Colvin.
What's going on, guys?
There is the fisherman extraordinaire right there, Mr. Jeremy. If anybody ever wants to go out on Barren River Lake and they want to take a charter, that's the man to hit up right there.
Nice.
All right. Anyway, if you had anything exciting happen this week, Jonathan?
No, just been a normal week. I mean, the sermon was good on Sunday.
It was.
We had a lot of things going on Sunday. It's kind of busy for you and myself and a few others, but I think that's, to me, is what makes it engaging for me anyway.
Yes. Yeah, it was awesome. It was an awesome message. I thought it was great. Good evening, Dale.
What's going on, Dale?
So as Jonathan spoke, it's continuing with the legacy series, and it's the legacy of the church. We will be covering Matthew 16, verse 18. 16, 18. Matthew 16, 18 is the key verse for tonight. But with the legacy series, the icebreaker question kind of goes right with the legacy. And so I'm going to read it. The icebreaker for tonight says, what's one thing your grandma or grandpa always said or did that you still remember?
Oh, man. Appropriate or inappropriate, and the inappropriate's not completely inappropriate. It's PG. But my grandfather was no filter. Was absolute no filter. My grandmother, she was words of wisdom, but my grandfather, no filter.
Yeah.
We man, this is going to sound awful, and I feel bad for it. So please forgive me before I even get to the story. But we're wiring a house in Mumfordville. Myself, my uncle, my grandfather, and this was just who he was, and it was awful. It was awful. We're fixing to order a sandwich, and she asked me what I want and what my uncle wants, and my grandfather, he goes, well, Crisco, I'd like this, and orders it. I get in the car and I'm like, huh? Why did you call her Crisco? He said, well, to call her lard blank would be rude.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, I remember that to this day. Like, it was still rude, Pop. It was still rude.
Like you, my grandfather had no filter. But talk about remembering something. Growing up, I lived with my great grandmother, and I can remember in the 4th grade, every week for our writing assignment, someone had to write a poem on the blackboard for everybody to write. So I told my grandmother, hey, I got to have a poem for school tomorrow. So she told me, she said this. She only said it one time, and I've remembered it ever since. She said, love is a pretty thing. Beauty is a blossom. If you want your finger bit, stick it at a possum. And I never forgot that. I remembered it ever since.
Well, now you made me think of something else. That was my dad's grandfather. My mother's grandfather, my dad's dad. My mother's dad was a little more tame, but you know, I'm a Stovall, and Carter family in Allen County is the Carter family in Allen County. He had a saying, and he would say it all the time. He would say, ugly people should do the world a favor and stay at home. Like, whoa, no. We can't say that.
Chris says, Granddad said, use your head, not your back. Wish I'd listened. There you go. Yeah, I'm not. My grandfather. I'm not going to get into a whole lot that he said, because just like Jonathan said a while ago, he had no filter. So some of the stuff that come out of his mouth, I don't need to be repeated.
Well, that was my way of keeping it tame, because there are others, but
yes, for sure. But my grandmother was a saint of a woman, and
yeah,
like I said, that was just one of the little quirky things she said. She told me over the years. She was always coming up with something. She always had all kind of little sayings. I remember another one was plant your corn when the leaves on the tree are the size of a squirrel's ear. So she had all kind of, I guess, wise things to do, different, I guess, remedies or whatever.
They call the wives' tales, right? Like, well, there
Yeah.
is some truth to them, but
Yes. But I remember a lot of the stuff she always told me. And here's the thing, I have put some of it to the test, and it always worked out. So
yeah. So let me see.
Jeremy said, laugh out loud. So do any of you guys remember something your grandma or grandpa always said or did that you still remember? All right. So while I'm waiting on to see if any of you have anything, we'll move right along to the key verse for tonight. Again, is Matthew 16:18. And it says, and I also say to you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overpower it. The sermon summary is this. This week, we talked about how the church isn't just a building. It's us, the people. And the legacy we leave as a church isn't something far off in the future. It's being built right now. Jesus said, on this rock, I will build my church. And that rock is the truth of who he is. The legacy of the church is built by people who show up, give generously, use their gifts, and build their lives on Jesus. All right. And Tim says, click on it here. Doesn't matter the president or the toilet cleaner. Be the best little tree you can be in the big forest. There you go.
I like that.
There you go. There's some wisdom right there. You always have to have a little wisdom in there. And
Well, that was something my grandmother always talked about too. Is I'm going to treat the CEO just like I treat the custodian.
There you go.
I'm going to treat them the same way.
Yes. And Tim says, my grandma was my rock. And I'm right with you on that one, Tim. My grandmother was everything to me. She meant the world to me. And so I lived with her growing up. And once Amy and I got married, then she lived with us. She moved in and lived with Amy and I until she passed away. So the great thing is,
that's full circle. You took care of her.
Yes. And the great thing is, Granny's cooking is like no other. And she taught Amy how to cook, so I'm still eating Granny's cooking.
That's a little funny fact of mine that's different. Is my grandmother could cook, but she cooked like 3 things: fried chicken, macaroni and cheese, mashed potatoes. But if she wanted something cooked, my mother was cooking it. My mom used to cook, Larry. I'll tell you another time we have more time. My mom used to cook for the entire projects of Bowling Green. Right. The minority community would come to my mother and say, "Can you cook?" Okay.
and that's the thing about it. They call it soul food sometimes, and all the stuff they're talking about soul food. That's stuff I grew up eating. It's just country cooking.
Yep.
For sure. Everything had some kind of hog fat in it or lard in it. It had something to do with the hog in it.
Or Crisco.
Yeah. Or Crisco. Yeah. Jeremy says, my grandpa always said, if you ain't 10 minutes early, you're late. Yeah, no, that's something for sure. The older generation definitely taught me that. And I have lived by that and still live by it. If I am not early, I'm late.
Late. And I think that's true, though. That talks about your punctuality, and to me, it speaks a lot about your character. Like, are you on time? And by on time, I mean early.
Yes. So, I can't stand some of the guys I work with now. You know, most time we have to be at our first job by 8:00, and I'll be getting in my truck to leave to go to my first job, and some of the guys will just be pulling in to get their truck ready for the day. I'm like, I don't know how they do it.
I don't either. I don't either. So where we at? Where we going to next?
All right, let me read this last one here. Jessica said, my granddad always said, keep trying until you get it right. There you go. Don't give up. All right. So main points for the sermon on Sunday was this. There's 4 of them. The first one is the legacy of the church is built by people who show up, not just believe. Faith without action is just a nice thought. That's deep right there. Number 2, the legacy of the church is defined by the generosity of its people. What we value, we invest in. Also true. Number 3, the legacy of the church is advanced when our unique gifts serve one purpose. We all got a part to play. Nobody's on the bench. So we all have a talent. He's all gave us all some kind of talent. All of our talents are different, but it takes all of our talents to do the work. Number 4, the legacy of the church must have a foundation that stands the test of time. The foundation is Jesus every single time. There you go. Great key points. And with that being said, we'll jump right on into the first question. And the first question says, what stood out to you most from the sermon. Well, I won't go to the whole sermon, but I'll go back to what we read here tonight and the key verse, which was Matthew 16:18, where it said, "And also say to you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overpower it." So when he said that to Peter, he was not calling Peter the rock. He was going to build the church on the rock of Jesus Christ, our firm foundation. So I have heard people talk about him calling Peter the rock. He wasn't calling Peter the rock. He was calling himself the rock. But he was telling Peter that he was the cornerstone, the firm foundation to all things.
I like that. I like that. But one of the things that I liked was, when's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. 20 years ago. But if it's not 20 years ago, it's now. It's right now.
Yeah.
So if I didn't do it 20 years ago, I need to be doing it right now to cement my legacy.
That's right, because it's never going to grow if you don't plant it.
Amen.
And that's just it. We think about building a legacy, and we often think of it in terms of what we've accomplished and material things that we have to leave behind to someone. But the legacy of serving others and following Jesus is much more important than any material things we could ever leave behind.
I agree. I never like to talk about or post things that I do at all. So I'm not going to post it. I'm not going to name names, but I saw something this morning where someone was struggling. I just reached out, started talking to them.
That's awesome.
And it was, and that's, I don't want any praise for it, but I didn't realize the impact that has. And sometimes it's just the acknowledgement. Someone just needs that. So your legacy, to me, especially when you focus on Christ and the legacy that you're leaving behind based on how you live your life, is how you love others.
Oh, yes, definitely.
How do you love others?
Definitely. And I haven't read over his questions, so I'm hoping we don't get in here too deep and answer a bunch of them before we get there. But if we do, we do. But just what you just said, how do we love others? And I've said this, it was last week or the week before or something anyway, about loving people where they are. Some people are easy to love where they are. Some people are not. Some people make it very difficult for you to love them where they are. They make it very difficult for you to help them. I'm all about wanting to help someone, but some people make it hard on you. And, that's the thing. We're called to even love the difficult ones. It's hard, but that's what we're called to do.
I think that for people that are hard to love, or that don't let you in and don't do those things, I feel like sometimes we celebrate too often we celebrate people that have been through this struggle or that struggle because it's in our face. It's in our face that they've been through it. But what about everybody else? Because they've gone through a very similar struggle, but it's not in your face. So those are the people that I find it hard. In the beginning, it's hard to love, but and I know you're the same way. We're not very judgmental people. Like, you could tell me you hate me and I'm probably going to follow with, that's okay. I love you. Like, whatever. I don't care. I'm going to love you. I'm going to pray for you. I'm not going to tell you that because I don't want to make it cause a bigger argument, but I'm going to love you. Like, it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That's for sure. I'm sure people have a lot of resentment because I'm sure I've done things for them to feel like they hate me or have resentment toward me in my past. I try not to do those things today, but I'm sure in my past I've done plenty of things for people to dislike me and not want to be around me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm sure that I still do today, even when I feel like I don't. I feel like that, they might perceive that I do. So the best thing that we can do, Larry, is just keep on trying.
That's it. That's it. That's all we can do. Just keep digging away. All right. I'm going to go on to question number 2. It says, when you think of legacy, what comes to your mind personally? And we kind of spoke on that a minute ago. I think it's what people remember us for. The actions people remember us for. I think is probably the most important thing. Yeah, we want to leave our kids something. We want to leave them, material things, whatever. We want to leave them an inheritance, but I think it's the actions that they remember and how we treated other people is the most important thing.
And I see that, and I just could echo this over and over. Same thing you're saying is that, yeah, you want to leave that behind, but the legacy is the way you love. It's still the way you love. Like, I made a lot of mistakes, and a lot of people view me on those mistakes. I had someone recently who said, "Hey, you got a good name in the minority community." I'm like, "Whoa, I did not expect that, but thank you." And it's the way that you, Larry, you're a great example of it. You don't judge people. I'm going to love you where you're at, no matter what you're going through, no matter what you've done. I don't care. I'm going to judge you based on how you treat me.
Right. That's it. And then the thing of it is, and what I've found most times, somebody's treating you bad, it's usually not you. It's something they have going on in their life that causes them to act out that way.
They got some pain or they got some resentment, and
For sure.
they're stressed. Yep.
And there's our old buddy Josh. Says, "Hey, good
What?
ball. Just got home."
Hey, Josh. You might want to you might want to edit those before you post. Just say it. Just say it.
He says,
Talk about things your grandmother should say. Come on now, Josh.
I done got tickled. Josh,
I know everybody's grandmother said think before you speak. So Josh, think before you talk.
He said, "Yeah, I noticed that after I said that was funny, Josh. That right there, whew, that made me laugh."
I don't care who you are.
Yeah, that's funny. I don't care who you are. I read that and I was like, "Hey, good balls." Just
You had to read it. You had to read it 2 or 3 times to make sure that you were not messing up.
whoa.
Oh,
It says it
man.
takes skills. Take skills. That was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
So where are we at? We talk
I
about.
don't know. I done got lost now.
Well, wait, last question. I'm just joking.
Well, we've had 2 questions. We'll go ahead with question number 3. Do you have them where you can read them?
I can. Give me 1 second.
Right.
I can.
Go ahead. Number 3.
All right. So question number 3. How have you seen the church, not the building, make an impact in your life? And that was one of my favorite things that he brought up this week too, because I think too oftentimes we think of the church as a building.
Right.
Jesus never intended the church to be a building. It's where 2 or 3 are gathered together, there I am. So, one of the ways that I see that impact is we talk about the Dream Center a lot, but here in this, you've had people that reach out to you, people that have commented on it, and they don't talk about good balls, but they but they talk about the impact and the brotherhood and the sisterhood that we build through these conversations. So that to me is an impact that we see right now.
Yes. And for me, it says, what was it? Have you seen the church, not the building, make an impact in your life? So that's the Big C church, us, the people.
Yep.
And yes, it was my small group that made the largest impact in my life when I was going through the worst time of my life. It was the people that were in my small group that I started going to at that time that made the biggest impact in my life, that were there for me. They didn't judge me. They didn't only pray for me, they prayed with me. And they were there to help me, and they were there to hold me up. They were there being the church.
Yep.
And Josh says we usually get sick. I've had someone from church reach out. It makes me feel important. Yes. Yeah, it does. It makes anytime somebody, knowing that somebody else is thinking about you, makes you feel good. Makes you feel good. And I think that's that, like you were saying earlier, Jonathan. I mean, that makes a big impact on people's lives when you just let them, hey, I'm thinking about you. I'm here.
The simplest things is and I think that sometimes we lose sight of that, is the simplest things, like even a smile in in the dollar store, in Walmart, to someone who's having a bad day, or, hey, a compliment. Your kids are acting really good. Hey, I like that. It's just those simple things that we forget to do in human nature because we focus on the negative so much that simple positive.
Yes.
I took a leadership class once that made a couple of profound statements in my life. One is that you could never bring a negative first to a kid, but you can't bring a negative first to an adult either. I'm going to give you 5 positives to one growth area, not one negative. One growth area. It's not a negative. It's something that you can grow in. But also, and this is true in any profession, not just education. If you want someone to grow, you are 50% more likely to grow in an area you're already stronger in than a deficit. So why are we not focusing on your strengths?
Right.
Why are we looking at your weaknesses and saying, oh, he doesn't or she doesn't do this, when we're like, you know what? This is what they do well. Let's run with it.
Right. And that's what a great leader does. They don't look at somebody's weaknesses and try to change them. They look at their strengths and find what they can do best.
And I'm glad that you said that, because there's a huge difference. And I think sometimes we lose this, especially in the corporate world, leadership and management. Leadership and management, totally different. Really, management has no place. It has no place. It has no place, because you can do the same things in leadership that you can do in management, but leaders are people that you want to follow. You're inspired to follow. It's not, I have to check this box. If I say this, I'm going to get in trouble. If I do this, I'm going to get in trouble. It's, man, I want to be like that guy. I want to be like that woman. That's leadership. Leadership is inspiration. And when you have a true leader, management take care of itself.
Yes. Yeah. If a great manager is going to number one, going to put leaders in place that are smarter than they are.
Yep.
Then their job's easy.
Yep.
It's kind of like coaching a football team. You take the head coach. He needs to go out here and hire offensive coordinators, defensive line coach, whatever, coaches that know more than he does. And then he's the one that's going to look great.
But you have to bring those coaches on that have the same personality of you. They can't think that they're the end all be all. They got people under them that they're building them up and picking them up. The most successful organizations do that. They focus on the positive. Josh says right here, small groups help me get out of my norm and speak to others.
Yes.
I mean, I agree with him. I mean, I have a hard time speaking to people too, right, Josh? No, not really.
I'm going to be honest, I don't see you or Josh having a hard time speaking to anyone.
I do not. I'll go ahead and tell you, and I'll be honest with you, Larry, I've seen Josh outside of church, and I can see some of those qualities he has, but I don't. Like, I feel like I fit in any circle, and I can relate to anybody because of my life experiences. Josh just said leadership versus management is way different. I agree. Thank you, Josh.
Well, and that's the thing, even when I wasn't doing the right things, I can tell you most of my time were spent with people that I enjoyed being around. It wasn't because they had money or didn't have money. Because most time in my life, I've hung out with people that have two nickels to rub together, and I've hung out with people that had millions of dollars. And I didn't hang out with them for either of those reasons. I hung out with people that I enjoyed spending time with.
You know, you can look at Jesus as far as leadership and management. Jesus led. Jesus did not manage.
No.
You know, for example, the woman, right, who they were going to stone. They're going to stone her. Everybody's going to stone her. He's just casually. I envision him doing this casually. Yeah, he is without the first sin. Go ahead, cast the first stone. Like, which one of you? It's all in love and understanding, and I think that with love and with patience, you show people that you care, you're invested, and then they are wanting to grow. They're not, I have to fix this. They're, I want to fix this. I want to grow.
And no matter who he was around, he found a way to communicate with them. That's the reason he told so many parables, because he was going to find a way to communicate with whoever he was talking to.
Yeah, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. Man, we just got on a good one right there.
Yeah. All right. What's one way you could show up more in your faith or in our church community? So what's one way you could show up more in your faith or in our church community?
I had a conversation with Melissa the other day because I do a lot of pictures now for the church, and she does too. Something that I could do. I'm not saying that I'm ready to do this yet, Larry, so don't write this down. But something that I could do is be at more events that are outside of Sunday. Monday nights, be at Dream Center events. Wednesday nights, even if I'm going to be on this Zoom, I could be there and do it in a different room. That way, when it's over, I'm there. You know, be at more events. So that's something that I could do personally. Would I like to do that? Yes. Am I going to make excuses why I shouldn't, why I can't? Yes. Am I hope somebody pulls me out of those excuses? Yes.
Since you just said that about Dream Center, tonight, man, I don't know how many people walked over this door. And tonight, they're not here in the building. They're across the road in the Washington Center. They were last week as well because the meeting was so big. And the meeting tonight's so big. We have a guy that is 1 year sober as of yesterday, giving his testimony over tonight. And people have come out to see him, to support him. That building over there is full right now. This Dream Center wouldn't have held them all. So I think that's a great thing. And having a guy that's just hit a year clean, and now he's standing up in front of everybody, giving his testimony, that's awesome. It's awesome. Telling everybody how God impacted his life.
I agree. And that's one of the things that I was having the conversation about, is that I could do better at showing up at those events. And that's something that's on my agenda.
Yeah. Of course, you know, we took our largest room in there and kind of cut the size down by adding the shower and a place to put a washer and dryer. And now it was not that big of a job. It's took them forever to get it about complete. There's like a little bit, and it's finally going to be complete. We can put the washer and dryer in there. They got the shower in. They've got the drywall done. They just like the flooring and a couple other things, just small things. It's going to be ready for people to use, and that's going to be awesome to have a community shower in there where people that are on the streets will have a place they can take a shower. They're going to have a washer and dryer in there, a place they can wash their clothes, and to be able for the Dream Center to be able to provide that, it's awesome. It's just awesome, and that happened because of the generosity of others.
Which is, I think, where we're fixing to go with the next question.
Yeah. You want to read that one?
Have you ever struggled with generosity?
Yeah.
What helps you trust God with your finances? Man, when I see, what he's done for other people. I'm just going to be honest. It's like, yes, you could say he's done this for me, he's done that for me, and he has. But that's one of the hardest things to let go for anybody, not just me, for anybody. Because when you struggle, and people don't realize this, they see you, and yeah, you drive a nice car and you dress nice, but they don't see that you struggle to, man, I got to go get this food. Do I have this? I got to go grocery shop. Do I have it? Everybody has that struggle, no matter where you're at in life. Even if you are making good money, you have that struggle of, do I have this to help this person? Or do I have this to help my family out? So but seeing what it does for other people.
Yeah.
That's what.
Yeah. Well, it also helps me in my own life where when I first became a Christian, I was like, man, I ain't giving them 10% of my money. Well, heck, I'm struggling to feed all these kids of mine right now, and I would give money, but I wouldn't. At first, I'll be honest, I would not give what I was supposed to. And I finally got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm going to try God on this. I'm going to give what he says give. And then what long, hey, I've got more than I'm supposed to have. And so then I started, hey, I give what I'm supposed to give. And when I have opportunity, I started giving more and give to other things and other people and different things. And the one thing I have learned is you cannot outgive God. You can't do it.
Well, and I'll get into that too. We talk about tithing and we talk about money. That's a very touchy subject for people. It is. Let's just be honest. It really is, especially when you have a church the size of ours. But to me, tithing is not just your money.
No, it's not.
If you have a strength, go ahead and give that. God knows that you're giving. He knows that you're giving. And that's with my serving. Like, I've grown from serving to running a camera, and now I run a camera and I take pictures and I do video and I do some audio and I do this, and now I want to do more. So that's your time too. Your time is the most valuable thing you have. So yeah, invest your finances, but invest yourself and your time as well.
Well, I think sometimes our time is more important because we only have so much time. And to give up that time, a lot of times is more difficult than releasing some money.
It really is.
We only have so much time to do, and to be with our families and to do with our families. I got a bunch of grandkids, and they all play sports. And we stay on the go, but I still find ways to give time. I think.
Josh said, I think we got to get. I thought I was bad at typing. I am bad at sitting on my hands when I don't know if I have the money to give to others or even the church. I enjoy it when I do, and God always provides. Hey, I think that's all of us, though, Josh. I think that, just the other day, Larry, he's not on this call, but me and Marcus and your son and Tracy were talking about, we need people that can do this job or can do that job. I just text Josh. And I was like, hey, when you get off camera, come here. And when he got up to the room, the first thing he said was, hey, what do you want to learn, Josh? He's like, well, I used to run sound here. And we're like, yep, okay, thanks, bye. That was all we needed to know, because we need somebody to learn how to do sound. And just so you know, Josh, you're working with me, and I'm showing you how to run the switcher on Sunday. I'm going to tell you right now.
That's awesome. But that's just how God is. He has put Josh in a position where you knew him. You knew that perfect timing right here. This is what I want to learn. Okay, that's what we need you to do.
It was pretty comical. I mean, it was pretty. He walked in the room. I said, what do you want to learn? He said, well, I'll learn anything, but I used to run sound. And Tracy Madison looked at him and said, okay, thanks. And that was it.
That's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Yeah. And that's the thing about it. Being willing to give you time is a big thing, because as somebody who serves in church, we know we need people that will serve in church. We go to, it's not the largest of churches, but it's the largest church in Allen County. And things couldn't happen on Sunday morning without people volunteering their time. And what you see over and over is the same people volunteering their time, and eventually they get burnt out or whatever because people don't want to give up that time.
Well, you're there, you think about, I'm not there as long as you are most of the times, but on a day that I'm doing all three services, I'm there from 7:15, 7:30 till 12:30, 1 o'clock. And I know you are every week. And you're right.
Yeah.
They can get burnt out. But for me, what I'm doing right now, I love to see that product. Like what keeps me going right now, and I'll go ahead and brag on Amy, is when I see a picture on Facebook and I knew I took that picture. I don't even say anything, but I'm like, yep, that's why I'm doing it. Josh said, yes. I was like, hey, I know this stuff. And then they was like, okay, well, we have something for you. We didn't even say, do you want? We didn't even say, do you want to? The four of us, me, Marcus, Cody, and Tracy, were like, yeah, we got something for you.
Thank you. You just volunteered.
You volunteered.
Yes. There you go. That's
fun. You'll enjoy what I'm going to show you on Sunday, though, Josh. Like you will enjoy it because you do. You deal with kids in your profession, and that's the one thing that I bring to that is that I deal with kids too, or I have in the past. You'll enjoy that. Well, let's go on to the next question instead of having this.
So, question 6 and the last question for tonight. What gift or passion has God given you, and how could you use it to serve others?
For me, I volunteer myself. For me, I think that, and I think, Larry, this is true for everybody. You have more than one gift that you truly do. Mine is the gift of relationships. Is that I can relate to you with anywhere you're at. Anywhere you're at, I can relate to you. And that's because I've been in those places. I had somebody that I worked for one time recently. It's like, I didn't know that you talking differently to different people would be a good thing. But then I realized that it was. I said, because that's not me changing my personality. All of those are part of my personality. I can go cut tobacco on Saturday. Then I can go to the gym and work out or play ball. Then I can go to the 5-star dinner. But then I can also go hang out in the projects of Bowling Green. And everybody lets me be there because I fit in those circles.
Yeah, I have done all of those things that you just said. I've done all those things. And here's the thing. I am not a speaker. I know that. I know I'm not a speaker. I'm not going to be up there on Sunday morning speaking, preaching, telling. But God has blessed me with common sense and the ability to do just about anything. So, on Sunday morning, anywhere that I'm needed, I can pretty much fall in there. So,
and you do, and he does.
So, if it just needs to be cleaned up out front, I can do that. If coffee needs to be made, I can do that. Whatever, from the smallest of things to some larger things, whatever, I can fill in, I can jump in, I can do it. And I'm glad that God blessed me in that way. I'm not a super smart person, and I'm not the best at nothing, but I can do just about anything.
See, I struggle with, I know that I speak well. I know that I can carry a room, but I don't necessarily want to preach. But I want to share stories. Right. I want to share stories, and I want to have the avenue to share stories, whether that's here, whether that's at the Dream Center, whether that's somewhere else. I'm a storyteller. I'm an elementary teacher. I'm a storyteller.
Right. Well, I mean, right here, we speak on here every week. We can do that. I think it takes a unique individual to be able to get up there and preach and communicate, get their message out there, and not rub anybody the wrong way. Sometimes, it takes someone called to do that.
Josh says, yes, I truly believe building relationships is key, and I feel I'm doing my purpose when I can get someone close to God. I also get huge joy teaching others who have same passions as me. Did he say more?
I couldn't preach.
I'm not going to tell you I couldn't. I'm just not going to tell you that I'm supposed to. I don't know.
This is what I know about that. I'm never going to say I'm not going to, just because
Amen.
I don't want God to say, really? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. You think so?
There you go. Yeah. I'm just saying that I would have to really work hard at getting up and speaking in front of large audiences, because
that's something that cracks me up about, like, you do speak well. You speak well here. People look at me and they're like, yeah, you talk. Like, I've spoken in front of audiences of 2 or 3. I've spoken in front of 4,000. I don't care. I'm going to be the same personality no matter who it is. And it might be good. It might be bad.
Well, here's the thing. I guess it's in what you know, because, like Sportsman's Dinner we have every year. Last year we had Hank Parker, and Hank fell out of deer stand after we'd hired him. And we didn't know if he was going to be able to make it or not, because he fell out of deer stand. And
right.
So they come to me and they said, if something happens, he can't make it, can you speak? I said, sure. Because I would get up there, I'd be talking about fishing and hunting, something I'm really passionate. And I'm passionate about God. I'm more passionate about God.
But something you feel very confident in.
Yes, I feel more confident speaking on these other things than I do. And it's not that I don't know the word. I do know the word. And but I guess more than anything, and it's something I need to work on, is memorizing verses and where they're at.
Okay, here's why you are more confident talking about hunting and fishing. I'll just tell you, because hunting and fishing produces a product where you can be like, look, this is what I caught, this is what I killed. Whereas what you're talking about, correct, right? Where you're talking about, like you said, memorizing a verse is different than, yeah, he's on my wall over here.
Exactly. What do you say here? I can do an 8-hour training, but preaching would get me rattled. Oh yeah, I mean, honestly, for me, I have spoke in front of large crowds, and no matter how comfortable I was on the subject, I still got nervous before I got up there, and would, I think that's just part of speaking in front of large crowds. But it's being able to do it without showing that.
I think that's just, to each person's different. Like, I joked with them probably a couple weeks ago that we were having a conversation about this and about the other podcast that Josh and I've always been this way, and I wish that I wasn't. Give me a microphone. Just give me a microphone and get out of the way. Like, I don't get nervous. I get excited. Like, you could tell me to talk about polo. I'll talk to you about polo for 30 minutes, and I know absolutely nothing about polo.
that right there reminds me of there was one time, this was years ago, Nathan was still pastor. When we first, actually, probably we'd been going to Victor Hill. This is probably back 2004, 2005. We started going there in 2003. And so Nathan had asked Amy and I to come on stage and talk about why we like Victor Hill Church, what got us into Victor Hill Church, because at that time we were on fire, we were serving all the time and everything. And he just wanted us to tell our story, how we ended up there and everything. And Amy was like, before we went up there, she's like, I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know how I'm going to say it. And we got up there. They handed us both a microphone, and she went to talking. And I never got to speak. All I got to do is sit there. Because once she got started, it was over.
I'm not surprised.
It was kind of like what's the duo on the radio, something and Silent Bob or whatever. That's how
Yeah.
it works. Yeah, I was just the silent part. I just stood there and shook my head.
Man.
That's funny. All right. Well, that was the last question. There is a takeaway and a challenge for the week. The takeaway is this: the legacy of the church isn't about someday, it's about right now. It's not what we leave behind, it's what we build today. Let's be people who show up, give freely, use what we've got, and build it all on Jesus. Amen to that. And then there's a challenge. You want to tell them what the challenge for the week is?
Do one thing that builds legacy, whether it's serving, giving, praying for someone, or just showing up. Do one thing this week that says, I am part of something bigger than myself. Do one thing.
That's it.
You know, the largest step is the first one. It's doing something. Something is
That's
better
it.
than nothing.
You know, and the thing I have come to realize, someone always said, it's better to give than to receive. In life, that goes with everything. Doing something for somebody else feels better than doing something for myself. Giving, just praying for someone else feels better than praying for myself. All the things it's saying there to show up for. Every time I do any of those things, when I'm doing it for someone else, it feels a lot better than when I do it for myself.
Oh, I agree. I think that we see that to take that back to leadership. That's what leadership is about. It's doing something for the people that you're leading, because that just enables them to grow to become leaders. One of the best quotes that I ever heard again was, leaders don't create good subjects. Leaders create other leaders.
Yes.
They create other
it.
people that want to aspire to do what they're doing.
That's it. Good leaders lead people to lead.
I mean, and I still get caught up in that I love that part of leadership. And it's not a title. It's not a title. It's not a position. Sometimes people follow you just because you are passionate about what you do. And I think that's probably the way things started out with you and Amy, is that people didn't start following you and Amy because of her title or your title. It was because of the time and effort that you guys put in. And that's leadership.
I'll have to one day get her to come on here and share the story on how the Dream Center come about, because it's funny, because I'll tell you a short version of it. She decided she was gonna have a recovery group for a small group. And just like they do the small groups, they had sign-ups. She had a paper right back there on the table. Guess what? Nobody signed up for it. So what she learned? She learned that you can't just expect people to show up. You've got to go out and get them. You've got to go out and tell them, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we're going to do. And through that, making that mistake once, the rest of this has happened.
Well, and I think we get into this era where we are now in life and I'm sorry, younger people, I'm sorry, is that we tell somebody to do something and then we're like, watch a video. Or did you read how to do it? When the best teacher is experience. Even as a teacher, I was experience-based learning. How did you learn the stove was hot? Because your mama told you? No. You touched the stove and you learned it was hot. Like, even as a man or as a woman, Larry, you could change your own oil. You could hunt. You could fish. Did you learn how to hunt and fish by reading a book? No. You did it. And you had somebody there with you that coached you through it. They didn't just show you one time. They didn't just show you 2 or 3 times. If you messed up, it's okay. Because that's learning.
I was blessed there too. I had my dad in my life, but then I had my uncle who loved the outdoors. And my uncle would take me hunting. He would take me fishing. And he was always a patient man because not only would he take me to do these things, he would tell me why he was doing these things. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to do it, so on. And so I was blessed there that I always had him to take me and to show me what he was doing and then share his knowledge with me.
And that I love my dad. And when I was younger, I didn't realize that my dad was as good as he was. I didn't. But the reason why is because my uncle was that good.
Yeah.
My uncle was that good. He was showing me how I'm tearing an engine down at 12 years old. I rode my first street bike before I was in middle school. And like, this is why you're doing it. Like, I'm doing this because, and now he was very, very patient. Like, I probably broke a lot of things in his shop. I'll tell you a funny story, Larry, because we got a little bit of time here. Like, learning how to ride motorcycles. His best friend is from Barron County, but lived in Atlanta at the time. And I was still young. And I rode his KX 250. I rode it a lot. I broke his KX 250, and it was brand new. And KX 250 two-stroke, for those of you that don't know, it's absolutely nasty. It would still be nasty today. So I broke his KX 250 on the frame in half. This is how patient this man was with me. That's not even his bike. That's his best friend's bike. But he knows how patient his best friend is. He walks over, nudges me. I move. He says, well, get up. Now we got to go learn how to weld it back together. And that was it. It was never yelling and screaming. It wasn't. Now go watch this YouTube video. Did you see the trainer? Did you see the training on how to weld that? No, you didn't see it. No, it was, let me show you.
Yes. And that's just it. And I watch today, my grandkids sometimes be sitting, having a phone in their hand, sitting watching another kid playing a game. Man, I get so aggravated. But I also will say I'm very blessed. My grandkids, they come to the house, they're outside doing things. I'll be honest, they'll come to the house and I say, hey, can we go out and shoot the 22s? And I'll make them sit and tell me where they're going to shoot, what they're going to do. We go through the whole spiel every time. Okay, now you go on out there. So I'm going to come check on you on a little bit, make sure you're doing everything just the way you just told me. And so they go out, they shoot, they make sure they're safe. They go through the checklist just like I give them every time. And I trust that they're going to do that. But I do check on them, make sure.
But you know why they do it? Because number one, you show them over and over and over and over and over. And number two, you trust them. If you didn't trust them, they would mess up a lot more.
Yes. And I think it's more than anything, it's teaching them something and then allowing them to do it. Not just teaching them and not ever allowing them to do it, then allowing them to do it.
I agree. And I think that's a lost art in today's society. But if you want, I want to do two things. But what if I want to do two things? What do you mean you want to do two things? Good book to read for leadership is Energy Bus. Yes, it is. John Gordon, by the way. John Gordon, the Energy Bus.
I listen to a lot of leadership podcasts. And Kerry Newhoff is one of my favorite to listen to. I listen to him a lot. But there's some Craig Rochelle. I think Craig Rochelle's a great one to listen to as well. But I listen to Kerry Newhoff. He's a Canadian, but I do like to listen to his leadership podcast.
There's another book, Josh. It's called Tribes. It's about finding your group of people. So it's about leadership and finding your people. Glad that you know it. Yeah, dude. Like, I've seen John Gordon speak. I've met him. I got pictures. Let me show you. I got pictures of me with John.
I've been blessed, through life and through my career at Toyo that I got to do a lot of training with a lot of great leaders, people from Toyota, people from Honda, people from a lot of big name manufacturers, and it's been very good in my life to be taught leadership from people that knew what being a leader was really about.
Josh, I got all kinds of leadership books for you. There's one called Leadership Challenge.
Yeah.
I see you got Tribes. Then I got one called The Greatest Salesman in the World. And then I have another one about the bus. It's called Move This Bus by Disney award-winning teacher Ron Clark. I could go on.
There's definitely a lot of great stuff out there to teach us to be great leaders if we're willing to put the time in.
You like the Bible?
Yes, there's probably the best one ever written right there. All right, well, that's the lesson for tonight and the show for tonight. If you guys don't care, bow your heads, pray with me. I'm gonna pray over this prayer list, and we'll get out of here for tonight. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for the time we get to come together, Lord, and study your word, share your word. Just give us such great friends to come in here and spend time with. I want to pray for Mary, who's pregnant, David Smith, business or new job, Paul Hayslip Jr., cancer. Travis Glenn lost his life to the cancer he was fighting. I want to continue to pray for his family. Matthew, cancer. Freddie Beck, skin cancer. Maurice Cason's wife, cancer. Kathy, cancer. Emily's illness. And I think Emily is getting better, and I want to praise you for that, God. Danny Stone, bone spurs and injections. Mike and Sharon Chavez, health. Ernie and Chrissy Brown, health. John Parker, his eyesight. Tim Molina, health. Wayne Huska, health. Matthew Walbert, mental, his mental health, his physical health, Lord, his partner Toby and his son, Bugman and his mother, Miss Becca, Missy Kennedy for guidance, Diane and Josh for a baby. I want to pray for everyone that is recovering from addiction or whatever that addiction is, Lord, and just pray for everyone at the Dream Center and the Dream House. Give you praise for the healing you've done on Tim McDowell's eye and for blessing his wife with a great new job. I want to continue to pray for my coworker who lost his wife a couple of weeks ago. He's struggling with a lot of things right now, Lord, and just ask you to bless him, to encourage him, and to comfort him. Lord, we love you and thank you for all that you allow us to do. And Lord, we ask that not our will, but your will be done in all things. And in all things, we ask you to give us wisdom and knowledge. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
There you go. Jonathan, anything to add?
The only thing I have is the same thing. If nobody's told you today, whether you're watching right now, whether you're typing, whether you're watching later, if nobody's told you today, if you're at the Dream Center, if you're at another recovery center, if you are not there, if you are just at home, you do matter. We care about you. God cares about you. You know where this man's at. You can find out where I'm at. You do matter. Let us know if you need anything.
That's it. Just always reach out. And just all I want to say is we love each and every one of you. Thank you for being with us. It's God, family, and the great outdoors. God bless and see you next week.